The morphine drip made everything feel distant and dreamlike, but I heard every word through the hospital room door. "She won't last another week," my daughter-in-law Monica whispered to someone on the phone. "We need to move fast on the house before her mind goes completely." I lay perfectly still in the ICU bed, my eyes closed, letting the heart monitor's steady beeping mask my suddenly rapid pulse. 3 weeks I'd been here after the stroke. 3 weeks of Monica playing the devoted daughter-in-law during visiting hours while apparently plotting to steal my home behind closed doors. "The paperwork is ready," she continued. "I got power of attorney forms online. She can barely hold a pen anyway. The buyers are coming tomorrow. My name is Eleanor Fitzgerald. I'm 72 years old, and I've survived too much in life to be taken down by a scheming daughter-in-law with a real estate license and a gambling addiction she thinks no one knows about." The door opened, and I forced my breathing to remain steady. Monica's heels clicked across the linoleum as she approached my bed. Through my barely opened eyes, I watched her check if I was asleep, then rifle through my purse on the nightstand. She pulled out my house keys, jingling them softly before sliding them into her designer bag. A bag I recognized from the credit card statements my son Marcus had been hiding from me. "Sleep tight, Eleanor," she muttered. "By tomorrow, that house will be sold and Marcus and I can finally pay off our debts." After she left, I pressed the call button immediately. But I didn't call for the nurse. I called for James Morrison, my attorney of 35 years, who'd been waiting for this moment since I'd contacted him the day before my planned surgery. You see, the stroke had been real but not as devastating as Monica believed. I'd recovered more quickly than I let on, playing up my confusion when she visited, letting her believe what she wanted to believe. When the nurses mentioned Monica had been asking about my mental capacity, documenting my confusion episodes, I knew exactly what she was planning. "She took the bait," I whispered into the phone James had smuggled in. "She's showing the house tomorrow." "Everything's arranged, Eleanor," James assured me. "I'll be there as Mr. David Walsh, cash buyer from Boston. The recording devices are already in place. And the real documents? Hidden in the pages of the sales contract, just as we discussed. She'll be so eager to get your signature, she won't read carefully." I smiled despite the oxygen tube in my nose. Monica thought she was dealing with a helpless old woman. She was about to learn that 30 years of running my late husband's construction business had taught me more about contracts and property law than her online real estate course ever could. The next morning, I made sure to appear especially disoriented when Monica visited. I called her by the wrong name twice and asked about my husband, dead these 15 years. The satisfaction on her face was nauseating. "Marcus is parking the car," she lied smoothly. "My son hadn't visited in 2 weeks. Too ashamed, probably, or too weak to stand up to his wife. I need you to sign some insurance papers, Mom." The way she said Mom made my skin crawl. In 5 years of marriage to my son, she'd never called me that until I was hospitalized. She pulled out a stack of documents, helpfully guiding my hand to the signature lines. "Right here and initial here." I scrawled something illegible, my hand shaking genuinely from rage rather than weakness. She practically glowed with triumph as she tucked the papers away. "Get some rest," she said, patting my hand condescendingly. "Marcus and I will take care of everything." Through James's updates, I followed the sale of my house in real time. Monica met him at my 4-bedroom colonial in Westchester, the one my husband and I had built in 1978, where we'd raised Marcus, where I'd nursed my mother through her final years. "Mrs. Monroe, I presume?" James texted me he'd said, using Monica's maiden name deliberately. "It's Fitzgerald," she'd corrected sharply. "Soon to be the sole owner once the paperwork clears." "Of course. And Mrs. Fitzgerald Sr. is fully aware of this sale." "Absolutely. She's very excited about moving to the assisted living facility. Much more appropriate for her condition." James sent me photos as they toured the house. Monica had already removed some of my valuable antiques, I noticed. The Tiffany lamp from my mother was gone. The Persian rug from the living room disappeared. She was pointing out necessary repairs that would justify the low price she was asking. $400,000 for a house worth at least $1.2 million. "I can do $350,000 cash," James offered. "Close in 3 days." Monica's greed won over any suspicion she might have had. They signed the papers right there at my kitchen table, the same table where I'd helped Marcus with his homework, where I'd hosted 40 Thanksgivings, where my husband had proposed to me over coffee and burnt toast in 1970. But Monica hadn't read the fine print. The papers weren't a sales contract. They were a confession. Every page she'd signed detailed her fraud, her elder abuse, her forgery of my signature. The power of attorney she'd shown James was the smoking gun, dated 2 days after my stroke, supposedly signed by me while I was unconscious in the ICU. That evening, Monica returned to the hospital with champagne hidden in her oversized purse. "Feeling better, Mom?" she asked, practically vibrating with excitement. "A little confused," I mumbled, playing my part. "Well, I have good news. Marcus got a promotion. We're celebrating tonight." Another lie. Marcus had been laid off 3 months ago. Something else they'd hidden from me while taking money from my accounts to maintain their lifestyle. She stayed just long enough to maintain appearances, then rushed out to celebrate her successful theft. I waited exactly 1 hour, then called the nurse. "I'm feeling much clearer today," I announced, sitting up straighter. "Could you please document that in my chart? And I'd like to call my son." Marcus arrived within an hour, his face gray with exhaustion and worry. "Mom, I'm so sorry I haven't been here. Monica said you weren't recognizing anyone." "Sit down, Marcus," I said firmly, my voice stronger than he'd heard in weeks. His eyes widened as he realized I was completely lucid. "Mom, you're okay? I've been okay for 2 weeks. Now listen carefully. Your wife just committed fraud, and you're going to have to decide whether you're complicit or a victim." I explained everything while Marcus's face went from confusion to horror to rage. His hands shook as I showed him the photos James had sent of Monica in my house, the recordings of her lying about my condition, the forged documents. "She told me you wanted to sell," he whispered. "She said you'd asked her to handle it because you didn't trust me after I lost my job. She's been planning this since the day I went into surgery," I said. "The question is, what are you going to do about it?" That's when Monica burst through the door, her face flushed with anger. "What the hell is this?" She thrust her phone at us, showing a text from David Walsh. "Please meet me at the house immediately. There's a problem with the sale." "Go," I said calmly. "James Morrison will be waiting with the police." Monica's face went white. "James Morrison? Your attorney." "My attorney, my friend, and a former federal prosecutor who takes elder abuse very personally. His own mother was a victim, you see." "You were faking," she breathed, backing toward the door. "No, dear. I was documenting. Every forged signature, every stolen item, every lie you told about my mental capacity. Did you know hospital rooms have excellent audio recording for quality assurance?" Monica turned to Marcus, her voice desperate. "Baby, she's confused. She doesn't know what she's saying. The stroke." "Stop," Marcus said quietly, standing up. "Just stop, Monica. You're taking her side? Your wife or your mother, Marcus? Choose." Marcus looked at her for a long moment, and I saw my son clearly for the first time in years. Weak, yes. Manipulated, certainly. But not cruel. "My mother," he said. "I choose my mother." Monica fled, but she didn't get far. The police were already at our house, not hers, never hers, waiting with James. She was arrested trying to load my grandmother's silver into her car. The trial was swift. Attempted elder abuse, fraud, forgery, and theft. 3 to 5 years in state prison, plus restitution for everything she'd stolen. The gambling debts she'd accrued, $200,000 to various creditors, came to light during the investigation. She'd been desperate enough to sell my house to pay off dangerous people, but not desperate enough to get honest work or seek help. Marcus divorced her while she was awaiting sentencing. He moved back into his childhood room temporarily, getting his life together, attending counseling, rebuilding the relationship we'd lost to Monica's manipulation. "I should have seen it, Mom," he said one evening as we sat in my recovered living room, the Tiffany lamp back in its place. "The way she isolated me from you, always had an emergency when I wanted to visit, told me you said things you never said." "She was good at it," I admitted, "but not good enough. How did you know to call James before the surgery?" I smiled, sipping my tea from my mother's china. "She asked about my will 2 days before I went in for a routine procedure. Said she wanted to make sure Marcus was protected. That's when I knew she was planning something." "So you let her believe you were dying?" "I let her reveal who she really was. Sometimes, Marcus, the best way to catch a predator is to play prey." 6 months later, I sold the house myself, for its actual value of $1.3 million. I bought a smaller place, perfect for my needs, with a guest room for Marcus and a security system Monica couldn't have imagined. The rest went into trusts, charities, and a college fund for the grandchildren I hope Marcus will give me with someone worthy of him. Monica wrote me a letter from prison, full of apologies and explanations. I read it once, then sent it to James for the file. Some lessons need to be learned the hard way, and some forgiveness needs to be earned over more than a 3-page letter. But I kept one line from her letter, not out of sympathy but as a reminder. I never thought you were watching. That's the thing about underestimating older women. We've spent decades watching, learning, surviving. We've seen every con, every manipulation, every sweet-talking predator who thinks gray hair means gray matter. Monica thought she was stealing from a helpless old woman. Instead, she robbed herself of freedom, family, and future. And me? I'm still here in my new home, tending my garden, having coffee with Marcus every Sunday, and keeping a very close eye on everyone who enters my life. Because sickness might reveal character, but recovery reveals strength. And I've got plenty of both left in me.